Welcome once, welcome twice, welcome three times. I am attorney Cora Davis, and I am honored to be kicking off Elevate. First and foremost, before I get started and introduce myself, I want to give a big shout out to Shamira for putting this together. This is an amazing summit that she put together for you because she really truly loves people who are in this industry, and she wants to be of service to you. And I am happy to help her fulfill that mission. So now that I've got the pleasantries out the way, let's chat. Let's go ahead. I'm going to tell you who I am, what I do, why I'm here, and what you are going to learn. I am Cora Davis. I am the founder of the Creators Law Firm, as well as a Revolutionary Creative. I'm affectionately known in the interwebs and in the internet streets as Legal Bay. And some people even call me Trademarkiana. But really what I do is I help entrepreneurs protect their smarts in these internet streets. I'm helping you protect your unique business name, your unique business processes, any type of literary or artistic work that you create. And these things as a creative wedding professional are directly tied with what you do. So this is going to be an amazing presentation filled with lots of juicy nuggets that you are going to be able to take and implement immediately into your business. So what is today's presentation topic? Legal landmines. Dun, dun, dun. Where's my music? Cue my music. I want you to avoid these top mistakes that even seasoned wedding pros make. I have been doing this for quite some time, serving entrepreneurs and creative business owners. And guess what? Even people who've been in the game for years make mistakes. So whether you are been doing this for a while or you're just getting started or you're aspiring to get started, you'll be able to walk away learning something new. So sit back, relax, get out your notepads, your pens. I want you to be able to take notes, and I want you to make sure that you are asking questions in the chat. Even though I'll be chatting and you're going to be able to view these videos and whatnot, I'm going to be live answering your questions. Yes. So if something pops up during the presentation, ask. I'm going to answer. Okay. So let's get started. Today's presentation is all about avoiding those rookie legal mistakes in your wedding business. So as we are going into, really the presentation, I wanted to give you all some background information about me and why I do the work that I do. Why do I work with wedding professionals? Well, on my wedding day, any excuse I get to show my wedding pictures, I'm going to take it. On my wedding day, it was one of the most amazing and beautiful days of my life, but it was extremely stressful. I had just graduated law school. I was not yet a lawyer. No, I was about to graduate law school, not yet a lawyer. And I had been put through the ringer by several of my vendors. I had to let go of an unprofessional wedding planner. I had my limo driver cancel on me a week prior to my wedding because it was prom season, and he didn't think he was going to basically make a lot of money off of my event and having me as a client. I had people who I worked with who did not have contracts together, so I tried to draft those myself. There were so many hurdles that popped up along the way, and I realized as I began to practice law that there was a need in this particular industry for quality and affordable legal services in a down-to-earth type of way. And so based on my experience, I wanted to make sure that I, basically supported the creative so that not only were their clients protected, but your business is protected as well. There's a reason why you got into this profession in this industry, So whatever that reason is, we want to make sure that we can sustain what you have built. And if we are able to avoid rookie legal mistakes and those legal landmines, you're going to be able to build a strong legacy and a strong business, that meets your end goal, whatever that end goal may be. Perhaps your end goal is to sell your business or to leave it as a legacy for your children. No worries, no problem, nothing wrong with that. But if that is the case, we want to make sure that, that you're protected. So what are we going to be talking about today? I'm going to probably review a little bit of stats, talk a little bit about, what makes wedding vendors different from other creatives and other businesses, giving you these legal tips. Some of them will be industry specific, and also some other business type of information to help you as well. So let's talk about some stats. Wedding industry stats. So, this is from Bride's American Wedding Study. I believe this was a study done in 2017 or 2016. The average cost of a wedding is $35,329. I am certain that it's much higher now. Couples are more concerned about their guest experience. Dropping the number of guests will increase while increasing the price, so you can have a much more intimate, exciting, memorable experience. And the use of social media in weddings are on the rise as well. Everybody has to have that amazing and creative hashtag. When it comes to who is able to basically take care of the wedding cost, most of the time it is the parent. On average, the bride's parents contribute 44% of the overall wedding budget, and the bride and groom contribute 42% to the overall budget. Couples continue to get married far away from home. There's more than 340,000 destination weddings each year, with 89% taking place in the continental U.S. and 11% at international destinations. What makes wedding vendors different? Many are first-time business owners. Also, collaboration within your industry is the norm. Wedding professionals, if you're a wedding planner, you're going to possibly have a photographer and videographer you love working with, a DJ, a cake artist, a stationer, a calligrapher. There's so many people that you collaborate with in this industry, and that can open up some doors of legal concern as well. The contracts with heavy legal language will often scare a bride or groom. There is sometimes a principal and agency relationship where vendors make decisions on behalf of the engaged couple. So you may be binding your couple to contracts or actions. So you want to be mindful of that. And there's a tendency for other business owners to not take wedding professionals seriously. So why do I say that? There could be someone that you encounter who doesn't think that you have a legitimate business. They think that you're planning parties and you're having fun, and they don't realize the hard work that you're putting in with, curating this event and making it a memorable and customized experience. So when it comes to setting up your wedding vendor business, most people that I have seen or worked with, they just start as a sole proprietor. But basically that just means that you hop up one day and you say, hey, I, Takora Davis, am now going to be Davis Weddings. And you may file one piece of paperwork like a DBA, doing business as, and you say, hey, I'm this person and I'm doing business underneath this name. That is a legal, totally legitimate type of business structure, a sole proprietorship, but it is the most risky. Many clients, I at minimum tell them to form a limited liability company or an S corp. These are easy to form and they protect your personal and your business assets. So, sometimes you can even have multiple businesses underneath one umbrella. So you want to make sure that if you're doing that, that you analyze the risk associated with each business. So this is really the legal landmine number one that I see. A lot of people do not want to put into place something that will shield themselves, whether that be ensuring that they have a strong legal structure for their business. At minimum, an LLC is what I generally suggest, or have some sort of business insurance in place. Because if something goes wrong at the wedding, people are going to look at you as the wedding planner, or if you have a significant role, they are going to look at you and they are going to hold you accountable. And if you get sued as a sole proprietor, that means what's on the line is your income, your personal property, your real property, your spouse's income, your retirement income. Anything that's attached to you personally that you may own is on the line in the lawsuit. As opposed to you forming a business and your business is sued, all of those things that I just mentioned will be protected. They are not going to be eligible to be levied in a lawsuit because your business is a separate entity apart from you, unlike a sole proprietorship where you are your business. All right, here are some tips and rookie legal mistakes for planners specifically. Again, like I said, you're the planner. If something goes wrong, the bride, the groom, the engaged couple will look to you for answers first. Why? They expect you to know what's going on. You are their eyes and their ears when they cannot be around. This is where a lot of times the principal and the agency relationship comes into place. What the heck does that mean, Decorah? It means that a planner can make decisions on behalf of the engaged couple. The principal is the engaged couple. The agent is someone who is speaking on their behalf, which is the wedding planner, and then they are speaking on their behalf to a third party. The third party could be other vendors, or some of your guests. So you want to make sure that you make decisions in the moment and you have permission by virtue of your contract to ensure that you can make those decisions on behalf of your bride and groom, and you're not going to be held liable if something terrible happens. This is why it is absolutely essential. I would say landmine number 2 is not having a contract in place. Yes, you need to have a contract in place if you're planning a wedding for your mom, your sister, your cousin, your auntie and them, Pookie and them. You need to have a contract in place no matter what. Even if somebody is not paying you money, you are still providing value, which is your expertise, your time, your energy, your resources, your connections. Those things have a monetary value, and they just have a value anyway. So if that is the case, you need to have it in writing. You want to make sure you have a detailed scope of work services. What is the scope of work? It sounds just like what the heck it is. What are you doing for me? What am I hiring you to do? Who is it? Who will be performing the services? What are the services that will be performed? When is this going to go down? Where is it going to occur? And why in the heck are you doing this? The number of hours presented on the wedding day, the number of meetings that you may have beforehand, the number of guests that you anticipate. Why? Because it's going to stress you out as a planner. If somebody gives you an initial guest number of 200 and they give you their budget, and then midway through, they say, oh, well, now I've planned a wedding for 200 people, but now I want to cut my guest list in half. Okay, is that going to make it your job 10 times harder? Most likely, yes. So you want to have some fail-safes in the contract that address those things too. But at minimum, we want to know who are you serving and why and when. Another rookie legal mistake I see people making are house rules. What are those house rules for the venue? And, how can you make sure you comply with that? You want to review the venue house rules. If the venue house rules are that the bride and groom must use their on-site wedding planner and that is a deal breaker for you, you need to make sure that that is clear and stick by your standards. Planners, also food, who is going to be fed, and they're requesting the catered meal and not the meal that they put together from, hey, you can give me a sandwich that doesn't have any meat on it unless, that may not be a problem, but You can give me a sandwich with, lettuce and tomato on it, and I'll eat it after I've been working for 8 hours. Yeah, no, we're not doing that. You should be fed. Your contract is going to protect you in this regard. Travel, looking at the latest IRS standards, which are updated every year. Do you have a stipend for meals? The hotels, if you're X number of miles away, are you going to be able to require the engaged couple to pay for your hotel? Think of the things that have inconvenienced you in the past or that you want to make sure are handled, and make sure it's in your contract. Another rookie mistake are the model releases. This isn't just for photographers. This can also be for planners. If you are using your clients' pictures for advertising and commercial purposes, you need to get their permission to do so, as well as the guest. Requesting photos from the photographer, it's like there's a love-hate relationship between planners and photographers, where, you want to maybe have a contract between you as the planner and the photographer where they're desiring or they're promising to give you a certain number of photos. You want to make sure that you're able to negotiate a license of the photos with the photographer to ensure that credit is shown to both parties in the blogs and the magazines. Why? Because that is your work many times. It's being displayed in the photographer's pictures. If you're a photographer, one of the things that you want to make sure is very clear in your agreement, and I would say this is legal landmine number 3, is who owns your client's photos. It's one thing to take photos for a client, provide them with copies or access to those photos on a thumb drive. It is a completely separate thing to assign the copyright or the ownership over the photos to that client. If you do that, you should be paid more. Why? When you assign the ownership over photos away, that means that you are now relinquishing full control over how those photos show up in and outside the marketplace. This is going to affect your bottom line, because being able to see a wonderful photo and have full control over it over and over and over again is valuable. It is valuable to your brand. It is valuable to features. It is valuable beyond measure. So you want to make sure that you're not only compensated for your time to take the photos, but really strongly consider being compensated, if the copyright is transferred. Another thing you should keep in mind when it comes to a contract basis and collaboration basis are styled shoots. This is where the photographer is going to collaborate with different people to put together a beautiful styled shoot. You want to make sure that if you're going to use public places and locations, determine whether or not you require a license to shoot there. Also, who is going to be liable if something goes wrong? You want to make sure that if you have a styled shoot and you have vendors and products from 10 or 15 different people, if something goes wrong, who is going to take responsibility? Also, who owns the copyright to the styled photo that you're going to take? It's not enough to just reshare someone's information and then give them credit. That still could get you sued. You want to make sure you negotiate with them ahead of time. If you happen to be a florist, I would say that this is legal landmine number 4. Looking at exclusivity clauses for within your contract, but also the clause addressing the transporting of flowers across state lines. You want to check laws and regulations through the National Plant Board. Here's a major tip that I give, is that plants that are shipped bare rooted are subject to less restrictions than those rooted in soil. Why? Soil can harbor pests, and we don't want pests being transferred from one state to the next. So you want to make sure that in the event the flowers that your client orders do not arrive because there's something that happened during transit, that a liability for that happening is assigned in advance. If you can't transport them, you're not going to be responsible. If you own a venue, again, everybody should have a contract in place, but venue owners, Definitely, you need to have strong insurance policies, venue insurance and insurance for the event via the wedding couple. That can also be something that you place in a contract where you require the wedding couple to get insurance. And yes, there can be provisions where you get insurance for one day. Another thing to think about are open flames or sparklers. Are you going to be responsible if someone gets hurt as a result of them using these things on your property? If so, think about your policy and what you need to put into place to protect yourself. If you are a caterer or baker, you need to look within your state's laws about, whether or not you need a commercial kitchen to be able to bake if you're doing this from home, and get really familiar with cottage food laws. I would even look at also into on a federal database or a federal basis the FDA concerns, and determining who is going to decorate the cake, the baker or the florist. If the florist is not sure how to put those flowers on the cake the appropriate way, or in a way that ensures that the cake remains edible, that's something that could be a major issue for people. There needs to be some communication and collaboration between the baker of the cake and the florist to ensure that the wedding look overall works out well. If you are a wedding vendor, and this tip could apply for anybody, you need to know that there is a clear distinction between an employee, which is someone who works for you. You have full control over how they do their job, and you may even give them supplies to complete their job, versus an independent contractor, who is someone who has their own business, who may provide services to you and to other people. The IRS scrutinizes these relationships. So we need to make sure that we understand what one means over the other in our business. Here are some great general tips to help you along the way. Get your agreements in writing. Yes, a verbal contract in most courts is still valid, but it's so easy to forget what you agreed to. I barely remember what I ate this morning, so let alone trying to remember what I did when I signed a contract 8 months ago. Get these agreements in writing so that it can be a reference point. In the agreement, set your client's expectations and your responsibilities. We want to make sure it is clear on who does what and why. Whether or not you're going to accept a deposit or a retainer. There's so much debate about this. Do I do a deposit? Do I do a retainer? Which one is best? I heard one was for the other. The best thing to do is just thoroughly explain to the client what the fee they're paying means. Does this mean that your deposit is refundable? If so, tell the client. Does this mean that your retainer is non-refundable, or it's just a fee? The initial fee is set to reserve the date and time, and that's why it's non-refundable. Then we need to make sure that that's set out there. We want to make sure that we are very clear about these things. And finally, one of my favorite topics is intellectual property. Hands down, one of the biggest legal landmines that I see wedding industry professionals get into trouble with is trademarks. A trademark is a word, a name, a logo, a tagline that protects your unique business name and any signature training programs that you may happen to offer. If you do not have a trademark and somebody else wants to use the name that you have in mind in another state, they possibly could do that because you do not have a federal trademark. Now we're getting into the age in the industry that people in different states, because they see your work on someone else, they will hire you even if you're not in their state. You want to make sure that you have full control and ownership over the name that you desire to name your business as a result. Now, I'm going to take time to answer more questions within the Q&A with the time that is remaining, and just making sure that I provide you with my full value. In the event you need me and you want to get in touch with me, you can visit creatorslawfirm.com, or like me on Facebook at the Creators Lawyer, or at Creators Lawyer. I'm on Facebook at The Creators Law Firm. But I would love to stay connected with you. I would love it if you just snapped a screenshot of this presentation and shared it on your timeline, and just put out there one new thing that you learned with respect to avoiding stepping on legal landmines. I think that more people should be aware and know what is going on within your industry. And with that being the case, you'll be able to share your smarts with everybody else. It has been a pleasure chatting with you today. I'm so excited and very proud of everybody who attended to level up their brand. And I hope that you enjoyed this presentation as well.